With basic buttons, you can take the entire button and take them into Illustrator. So if I right-click this and say Edit, in Illustrator, it'll actually show, if I open up the Layers panel, all of the different states of the button. Let me actually drag this off so we can have this available as we work with this. The Layers panel gives me the option of displaying the up, over, down, or disabled states of my component. I can change which is visible by changing the visibility options over here on the left-hand side. So let's actually design the up state of the button first. I'm going to select that path that we originally had and then apply that same button normal style to it. I'm going to do the same thing with down. But in this case, I'm not going to apply, I have to change the visibility here. I'm not going to apply that same style. I'm going to apply this other one, which is button over. And then let's do the same thing for the over state. I'm going to select that path and then apply that same graphic style. And for disabled, let's have the disabled state look like the same as the over state. So now if I take a look at the visibility, I've got my up state and my over state. As you can see, they're a little bit different. Now when I click Done, it's going to take all 4 of those states and round trip those designs at the same time back to that component. So if I double click inside of this, you'll see that the up state is different than the over, down, and disabled states because it's round tripped the entire design of all the states of the button. Last thing is let's change the font here. So we go back to our Adobe font and we're going to keep it regular, and let's actually make this black this time. Now again, I've modified this design only in the up state. So to take this change to all the other states, I click Make Same in all of the states. There. So now I've been able to change the design of the Welcome, Eat, and Watch buttons. Now when we actually created these buttons, you'll remember that we had a library object that was created when we modified that original wireframe component. Because we based these other buttons, the Eat and Watch buttons, based on that library item, when we made the change to the Welcome button, they were replicated on the other buttons that shared that same library object. This is a great way for grouping similar objects that are going to have the same designs and having them all be styled in synchronization with each other. So if I continue to make changes to Welcome, those changes will reflect in also Eat and Watch. Now let's go into the Eat state, and let's actually make a couple other changes inside of this. I just want to show one other particular piece here on how I actually can work with Photoshop and round trip designs with Photoshop. So I'm going to go inside of this inside of my data list here, and this particular project has not converted this rectangle into a bitmap graphic yet. So I can change this and say rasterize. Now let's actually take this into Photoshop. So if I select this, you're going to get this dialog box. Now when we shipped Flash Catalyst, we weren't quite yet ready to put all the round trip extensions into Photoshop. So we actually placed those Photoshop extensions on Adobe Labs. This URL will take you to the location on Adobe's website to download and install those extensions to use Photoshop alongside of Flash Catalyst. I already have installed those here, so I can click OK. When I take that graphic in Photoshop, you'll see that the graphic is now available here as my selected content. I can use the Photoshop design tools to make any of the changes that I want inside of Photoshop. Now what's great about Photoshop is it has this really cool script called Simplify Layers for FXG. For anyone that's worked with Flash and Photoshop, you know that certain filters are not available when I take content from Photoshop into Flash Pro, Flash Catalyst, or I'm creating something for the Flash platform. This new script will translate things that are supported and will rasterize things that aren't. So if I make changes if I create blend modes or I create different filters that aren't translatable to Flash, it will automatically rasterize those. To access that, I go to the File, Scripts, Simplify Layers for FXG. When I select this, it'll actually go through a process and actually analyze all the layers and then make all those automatic conversions for me. When I'm done with my design in Photoshop, I can then save and then bring the changes back. So let's actually make just a quick change here just to show how this works. So I'm going to select my layer, and let me just do a cover overlay just to show quickly how this would work. I'm going to click OK, and now I actually have a filter that's applied onto this. So if I go to File, Scripts, Simplify Layers for FXG, it will then do a process where it will actually analyze all the different layers. You'll see a progress indicator display, and then all those layer changes have then been modified into the project. So now if I save this and close, go back to Flash Catalyst, you'll see that those changes are then brought back into Flash Catalyst. So this is a quick example of how you can use Illustrator and Photoshop to round-trip designs that are originally a wireframe-based design, and then piece by piece migrate them and upgrade them to the full fidelity designs using Illustrator and Photoshop design tools. What we're going to do in the next couple of videos is take a look about how I can optimize my project and then preview and then hand that project off to either my client or to my developer partner.